and welcome back to the Fools on the Hill podcast. My name is Yanni, and I am joined by my two favourite people, Cal.
Hello. Sorry, that was what seemed like a knock at the door then. Sorry.
Is it postcode lottery? And Liam.
Hi, Yanni. What are you doing hosting? Why are you speaking first?
Well, the reason I'm hosting is because it's my album of the year.
Oh.
It's my time to shine. The third instalment of the four. Next week's will be our collective album of the years. I will let everyone know before we go deeper into this that this is the second attempt at this. The first one went horrifically wrong with
Why
some
was that,
audio. Audio by one of our least favourite members of this podcast, Cal. Mr.
That's me.
Ian Godchong.
That's me. Yeah, I had some very, very bad technical issues apparently, which weren't apparent until we'd finished. At which point it was well too late, and there was no way it could be saved by either Callum or Yanni.
We had similar audio issues on episode 7. So if anyone's heard that, go and give Yanni some love for his
Please, I really need
his
it.
edit.
If anything,
normally I edit it, but I could not be arsed even attempting it. So Yanni gets the love this week.
If anything, it caused positive change on that episode, because I believe you cut out me rambling for a bit, Yanni. Is that right?
Oh,
I
saved
did,
about 25 minutes, was it?
I'm not even kidding. It was probably a good 5 minutes of you trying to introduce something. Yeah. So I'm glad, sort of glad, but also never make me do that again, Liam. Otherwise, I will have to murder you.
So what's happening, Yanni? What's going on?
What's happening is I'm going to give you a rundown of my favourite albums of 2020. I'll start off with some honourable mentions, and then we'll go straight from 10 to 1 because any other way would be fucking weird. There'll be some stops on the journey that is my album of the year, where the floor will be open to questions, 4 questions, from the 2 other hosts of said podcasts, Cal and Liam. You know, they've been introduced. They're here.
Yeah, that's it.
There they are. There you are. I can hear them.
We are here.
So let's just dive straight into this because this is the second time again that we've had to do this. So I want to get it over and done with as soon as humanly possible.
Dave
Javu. So my first one, and I'm getting this out of the way because it couldn't be picked due to it being a live album, but it would have been Live at the Royal Albert Hall by Arctic Monkeys. If I say that I've already mentioned stuff far too many times, please let me know, other 2 hosts that are in this chat, because I feel like I did that on the first run and I don't want to repeat myself too much again. But we've reviewed this. I believe I got it on vinyl. That isn't something that comes into play in my top 10 though, so don't worry. That arbitrary rule is not a part of my selection here. But yeah, I really liked it, and I would have put it in, but it just couldn't be done. The other ones are just standard
Yanni,
albums.
I did put my hand up there, but I guess you didn't see that. I do have a good question. Just before you go on,
no, I did. I just wanted to annoy you.
Just before you go into your honourable mentions, which I assume are basically like your lower than 10. This one, I guess, because it actually just doesn't count. I'm interested, without spoiling the rest of your top 10, where roughly you think this would have landed.
To be honest with you, probably a 10th spot.
Okay.
Yeah, it probably would have been the 10th spot because, as I will probably repeat, number 10 was at the time very fluid. It could have, I don't know why I picked that word. It could have been a number of, it couldn't have been really, to be honest, but I had to pick one, so I ended up picking this, and it will come as a surprise to previous listeners of the podcast because I don't think I rated it that high at the time, spoiler alert, of the when we reviewed it when it came out, but it's creeped its way in. I'll explain why when I get to it.
Save that.
But I hope that answers your question. Yes, can I move on now, please?
Honourable mentions, please.
Thanks, Dad. So, honourable mentions. I'm going to start off with Ultra Mono by Idols. I felt like I had to put this on to be cool. But I liked a couple of the tracks. But overall, I think mentioned it with either Callum or Liam's. If you haven't listened to this one, the other ones, then please go back and listen to those ones first.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of overlap in most of the stuff we picked. With mine, not so much, I don't think. But well, actually, no, there's a couple. But there's a lot of overlap between albums we've all picked. So there'll be more comments about the albums that we have overlapped on the other ones. But I didn't like how sparse this one was. I think that's the best word I could have used.
Yep.
No, so I was going to compliment that vocabulary.
That's A-level English language for you there, isn't it?
It is. It really is. But
Did you have Mr. Evans? Oh, no, not for A-level.
A-level.
Come on, Colin.
No,
Yeah,
but
come on.
I did
Keep up, mate.
do English language in A-level, so yeah. So anyway, what was I going to say with that one?
Sparse.
Yeah, I didn't like how sparse. Yes, thank you, Liam. It was. I would like to see Idols kind of go somewhere new at this point, because I feel like this one was as basic as could possibly get for Idols. There was what felt like an incorporation of new sounds in terms of the like weird delay, almost synthy sound on
Grounds, yes, well done. You got it wrong the first time we recorded this,
I did.
actually.
No, they'll never know. So yeah, the bit that he plays on the guitar, which is just a weird delay pedal. Like I thought they were going to be a bit more synthy until I realised that was actually just guitar. But yeah, the rest of the album's pretty like just too bare bones for me, really, and too basic. I didn't really like it. Not the direction I expect them to go, but I can see why they've done it, but it just feels like a backtrack a bit. Any questions on that or not? You're alright, lads.
No,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Fair.
Are you going to
said
put your
that
hands
you
up like
would-
this? Or?
You said you'd like to see them go somewhere else.
Yes.
What sort of thing are you hoping? Because imagine they like drop the folk album. That would seriously
Cool.
subvert expectations.
That would be my least favourite thing they could possibly do, I imagine. I don't know, because I think I mentioned this as well before, but they've got a style, and it would be difficult, I suppose, for them to get too far away from that without not being Idols. Because they have got their own sound, but
yeah.
if they moved away from that, would it be the same thing? And does that even matter? I don't know, but I don't know. I'm a little bit bored of it. I got the record twice on the splatter vinyl, but I'm a little bit bored of them now. I feel like I've heard all I need to hear from them.
Yeah. I don't even think I've played the record because I've got it on the Vortex. I don't think I've ever played it.
I've not played it. Oh,
I
was it
have, and they're
Vortex?
really
Sorry,
bad
not
impressions.
Splatter.
Yeah, Vortex.
Yeah, sorry, I got two Vortex. I don't know why I
They
said
sound
Splatter.
really bad.
What did they?
Really?
Fantastic.
Well, the clear one specifically sounded so many cracks and
Bobbles.
pops and crackles. Yeah, not a good present. And I thought the Vortex was pretty similar as well.
No.
So I would
Well,
like
that's
Is
two.
not good.
Then my next one, then I'll move
Please.
on to that, was 9 to 5. What a way to make a living! No, I was
Your
waiting
joke,
for you to make
no.
a joke.
It's your
But
joke,
it-
mate. Can't take
Yeah,
credit.
it felt bad.
Yeah, it is my joke. Yeah, no one else could make the same jokes as me. With the album, sorry. No need to be sorry, mate.
You're the wrong way
It's
around
alright,
there as
mate.
well, mate.
Yeah, there we go. It is the other way around. Sorry. Sorry is
Stop apologising,
the
mate.
name of my first child. So I can't believe I got that confused. Yeah, I mean, clearly I don't listen to it that much because I got the fucking names mixed up. I'm trying to look for it here. There we
Please
go.
tell us about the
There
album,
it
Yanni.
is. So the only real song, the rest of them are all fake. The only song I really like is Perfect. The other ones,
What's so
I
good about it, mate?
do.
Why is it perfect?
The riff is phenomenal, and the back and forth vocal delivery that they both have.
Yep.
Both the voices sound so nice on it. Just that song is actually perfect. So without getting too cheesy, it is. There's nothing I'd say needs improvement on it. The rest of the album, though, I'm just yeah, it doesn't live up to that song, unfortunately. If it did, then it probably would have been on my list, but it doesn't. So I'm gonna move on.
Please.
The next one is "Everything Else Has Gone Wrong" by Bombay Bicycle Club. I've only revisited this as of late because Liam mentions it, and I should have spent more time with the album. I feel like it would have eventually been on the album top 10 had I listened to it more, but for some reason when it first came out, because I really like the singles, I feel like I was a little bit disappointed by the rest of it, but going back I definitely wasn't. So just me being stupid, I think. Ended up getting this on the double vinyl for a £5 or something mad, which is the one where it's like 45 RPM, or like the really good quality one, whatever you guys were raging on about.
Yeah, Master the Half Speed, I think.
Yeah, there we go. So yes, I've not listened to it yet, but I will. My record player is not easily accessible, so that's a pain, but now it is. So I might work it on. Who's to know? You're not gonna know. I'm gonna tell you. The other one, which I don't think any of us have mentioned, was "Song Machine" by Gorillaz.
No.
Wasn't mentioned on anyone's list at all, not even honourable. But I had to put it on because "Aries" was one of my favourite songs of the year, and yeah, for that reason it had to go on. And then when the album came out, there was a lot of individual tracks on there that I really liked, like "Valley of the Pagans," "Pac-Man" with Schoolboy Hugh, some other one, "Désolé," and then like the last couple.
Bliss. I know you love Slow Time.
No, fuck off. No, I fucking hate that song. I wish that song never existed on that album. Yeah, but I really liked it. We all had positive reviews coming out of listening to that, I believe, at the time.
Yeah, we did. I've not revisited it since we did it though. So
right. Okay. No. But yeah, I felt like that needed a mention because even if it was just for Aries, because I fucking love that song. I had it on so much over the year. So that wraps up my honourable mentions. Oh, now we hit crack-a-lacking into the main events. So number 10, I've got "Night Network" by the Cribs. As I was sort of, and I'm gonna say the word, alluding to before. Take that off your bingo card if you're listening, guys. Number 10 was something that I just obviously we had to have 10, otherwise you can't make a top 10, can you silly bastard? So I had to pick this, but it wasn't going to be the other ones really. This one's grown on me massively since we first reviewed it. Again, Liam and Cam will be sick of me telling this story, but running into you, I did not like at first listen.
No, you do shock me.
I know, shock horror. I told Liam I don't want to listen to it ever again, blah, blah, blah. And then as it came to the release of the album, it really grew on me rapidly. And yeah, I really like now. It gets stuck in my head all the time. Same with "Never Thought I'd Feel Again." That chorus of that is always stuck in my head. No, Liam.
Sure.
If you could not interrupt me again, that'd be fantastic.
It's jokes like that what make me very happy that Liam's album of the year episode is done.
Yes.
We still got next week, baby.
I cannot wait to argue with you for what will probably end up being 3 hours. Yeah, and I like a lot of the rest of the tracks. Sirens Sing Along.
Yeah.
I think I liked.
Yeah, that's my favourite. So that must mean you like it.
Earl and Duke I thought was a bit boring. Was it? Yeah, She's My Style I didn't like. I thought that was a bit like just a bit of a wet fart really. But yeah, the rest of it, it's just grown on me. And we mentioned the fact that they released a documentary behind the album, which they do with all of them. And whenever anyone releases a documentary on an album, I tend to like it more because it makes me appreciate the effort and the art behind it. And Liam, I'm just going to remember a question from the first time we did this recording, and I'm just going to go straight into
You're not gonna
answering
let me
that
ask it.
question. Oh, do you remember what it was?
Was it which out of the Cribs? So, Yanni,
It's part
I
of it,
know
yeah.
of you as a Cribs fan.
Do you? Is that what you know me
Well,
as?
it was you who told me to listen to the Cribs, and I
You?
listened to all their albums, and so I'm interested to know where this lands in your favourite albums of the Cribs. Was that the question? That was it, wasn't it? Something like that.
It was along those lines, yeah.
Cool.
Not very high up, really. I'll give the same answer as I did before. Yeah, not very high up. I really like In the Belly of the Brazen Bulls, my number one,
Mhm.
and then Ignore the Ignorant with Johnny Marr on. That's like my number two, and then I think it would be Men's Needs, Women's Needs, whatever, as number three, and then I think it's just like a mixed match or whatever then, because the rest of them it's just like the odd single from each album. So it'd probably be fourth, to be honest, because this has got the most songs out of the other ones on it that I like. But
Is this their sixth album? Sorry.
I think we discovered it was.
I think
that.
Yanni's saying that apart from
Awesome.
those three you just mentioned, the rest aren't really that.
Yeah.
No,
don't
I know. I was
calibrated.
just.
Seventh, I think, is it? Seventh or eighth, actually. I think we spoke about this on
Oh
the
yeah, I
podcast.
forgot
that-
about the other one with Actually, sorry, no, I've forgotten about those other albums. I don't fucking know, but it's definitely not in the top three, Liam. I can give you that as a
Thank you,
guarantee. I've mentioned this again before, so apologies, guys. But I don't like how they've gone very back to basics with it. I thought it was just going to be for the last album, because from what I remember, they recorded that like in like a really short amount of time. Like it was just, we'll write the song there, record it, done, more or less. That's the one with In Your Palace and Year of Hate, and the other one that you like, that Rainbow Ridge.
That's one of
Yeah,
my
that
favourite Crib songs. That.
Wow.
Very good.
But yeah, that was one of. I thought that was what they were going to do just for that album, but it turns out obviously they've stuck with that. I like more when they do the intriguing guitar work, especially when they had like Johnny in there, and obviously Johnny's Mar's guitarist, in case you didn't know, and he's quite good.
Pretty good.
So it works very well. Well, it did work very well, but on this, it's just back to basics, unfortunately. And I didn't really
remember-
like it that much.
Do you remember when we saw Johnny Marr driving away from the Etihad when we went to stay at sisters that time?
I completely forgot about that. You know,
Yeah, in a Range Rover. We're not sure if it was him, but it was definitely.
it's definitely him. Yeah,
It was 100%.
Not sure if it was him, but
100% Johnny Marr.
it was him.
but to be honest, we were in Manchester, and that haircut's everywhere you look. So,
That's a good point.
It was almost certainly him. It was. He looked like a man whose hair should not be that dark at his
for his
age.
age, yeah, it's Johnny Marr. Then
Yeah.
that's how you know. It's definitely Johnny Marr. Yeah. So that's my number 10. My number 9
Number
is
9.
being finally mentioned on a 10 list instead of an honorable mention. Is Heaven to a Tortured Mind by Eve Tumor. We all have the same thoughts on the album, that it's phenomenal. It's just
Mhm.
other albums got in the way for you two. Whereas for me, I had to struggle to find albums. So this was nicely put on my list. I think first one I heard was Gospel for a New Century, which just so happens to be the album opener even. And that's obviously fantastic. Kerosene, I love it when the guitar solo comes in for that. It just
Amazing.
it's a sexy album, I think was the
It's
way
a
I described it the
sexy
first
album,
time.
yeah.
It's just a very
was.
sexy album. And then that transition, I just want to hear Callum's grunt from Romanticist to Dream Palette. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's how it makes you feel. In the pants.
That was good.
And Strawberry Privilege, I'd say that they're like my favourite ones. But yeah, it's just a great album, and I can't wait for new stuff from Eve Tumor
Yep.
when they eventually decide they want to release more stuff that isn't a feature that seems like they're not even featured on it.
Yeah.
Reference to an older podcast. Right, and
Well-
any questions on that, or wow.
I just want to say thank you for putting this album on, because as you've alluded to, and
There you go.
if you listen back
You
to
can't take it off twice.
sorry, you'd have to get a new card and start again. If you've listened, you should have listened to mine and Callum's. You'll know that we both really like this album, but for one reason or another, couldn't get behind putting it in the top 10, but I definitely believe it deserves a place somewhere. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you've given them the recognition they deserve. Definitely.
Yeah, I think we said in the lost tapes of Yanni's first attempted episode that although Liam and I didn't put it on our top 10, it probably will make it onto our collective top 10,
Yeah.
which is a very strange
Yeah.
outlook, I'm aware.
I agree.
But yeah, I think Yanni put us both on. Did Liam put you onto Eve Tumor, or did you put...
I was the epidermis.
I do not know.
Is that the phrase?
Were you?
Because
I
Yanni
don't
definitely
know.
put me onto Eve Tumor with Strawberry Privilege.
I had
Yeah,
just
Licking an
whacked it on
Orchid
the card, didn't I?
come on
Did.
playlist once,
Oh, I do remember.
and so
Yeah.
I think I probably told Yanni to listen to Licking an Orchid, and then it grew from there.
Yeah.
But I feel like that wasn't the first time I listened to it. Listened to them.
Or maybe.
Because I swear, like, Gospel was the first one I heard, and then you told me about. Unless we've just remembered it the wrong way, and you told me about Gospel first. I don't know.
Maybe.
Who knows? It's
Yeah.
either you or Fantano.
yeah. I listened
So,
to Licking an Orchid, which
same
is from the
person
album
might.
before, but didn't like the rest of the album, and then put this album on and got
Yeah, you
into
told
it.
me that.
So maybe
Yeah.
that's where it started.
Who knows?
Who doesn't?
Not me or Liam, the people that should know. So,
Help me out.
moving on to number 8. It's been on everyone's top 10 so far. Is Zeros by the young lad that is called Declan
Young
McKenna.
lad.
He's such a young lad, so many years ahead of him. It's a great album, hence why we've all got it on our top 10. There's been far too many comments made about it already, but I'll just reiterate that, yeah, step in the right direction from the last album. Really sounds like he's matured massively on this. My favourite, Beautiful Faces. The melody in the chorus is just impossible to not sing along to. And yeah, also intrigued to see what he does next, because it seems like this one was a different genre compared to the first one. Like, so hopefully he changed it up again. This was more sort of glam rock-esque, I suppose you could put it.
A lot of comparisons to Bowie on this one.
Bowies and
Living is
Spice. So yeah, I'm excited to see what it does next. Have you guys got anything to comment on this that hasn't already been said?
Nothing that we've not already said.
Wow.
No, yeah.
Okay.
It's for that.
Well, swiftly moving on, Declan. We don't care to comment anymore on your
Further proof as to why you should go and listen to our
previous
episodes.
Yes.
episodes.
And
Yes.
I'm
If
sure
you're
we'll talk about
starting
it
on
more
mine,
next week.
then you're a fool, and not the good kind of fool that belongs on a hill.
To the bottom of the
You're at the bottom of the hill, yeah.
hill.
We pushed you down.
Yep.
You got so close, but then we just pushed down, and then you got. It was like really rainy that day and
Just
really
slid,
muddy,
Just slid down.
so you just covered in mud. So like,
And
it
you
looks
landed
like
in
you
some
got,
cowpat.
yeah, exactly, yeah. I'll
Right on
have
your
to end
cheek.
it.
You deserve it.
Did they throw down face first?
Well, no, but they were... Well, their face would be part of the rolling down.
Yeah, it would be
Just
involved.
flop.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 7. This has not been mentioned by anyone, and I think this is
It
a
has.
surprise. On the previous podcast, the previous recording of this exact same one, is "Man on the Moon 3" by Kid Cudi. And remember that you mentioned a comment, Liam,
Yeah,
so
I
I'm not going
remember
to
it.
say. Okay.
Save it for me.
I did not like. I remember. Well, it's not that I didn't like. It was just underwhelming to me when I first listened to it. I think there was a lot of anticipation being the third in the trilogy, obviously, of albums that he's released under the title "Man on the Moon." However, the more I've not chosen to listen to it, it's just songs have gone stuck in my head. Like She Knows This, for example, is what stand out. I had September 16th, The Void, Loving Me with Phoebe Bridgers, and Show Out. But again, we've mentioned this before, but don't put such a good person as Skepta at the very start of the song and let the rest of it sort of not be as good, because it just isn't. But it's still a good song. But Loving Me with Phoebe Bridgers is phenomenal. The ending where they're just humming and she's oohing. The blend
Yeah.
of their voices is fantastic.
It is.
And I also, you're going to get deja vu, guys. I love the sample at the start of She Knows This. It's from Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim.
I know, shock. So, yeah, I really like this album, and it hasn't disappointed me now. I've spent more time with it. So, yeah, Liam?
Before I ask my question, I've just remembered that last time we did this, as you were talking about the Phoebe Bridgers featuring song, is it Loving Me? Is that what it's called? Loving You?
Loving Me.
Loving
yeah.
Me.
Loving me.
Loving You.
Loving us.
That's a no-win, sorry. When you spoke about it last time, I straight away was like, oh, I should listen to it again after we finished recording, because I've not listened to it in a while. And I didn't. And I thought exactly the same thing when you just said it then. So I might actually listen to it again this time. My question for you, Yanni.
I love when you say pointless comments on this podcast,
I'd like to tell you what I'm thinking, mate.
I really love
I'd like
it.
to keep you updated. My question for you on this podcast is, this year, so, let me start from the top. Man on the
Do you know what you're about to ask me?
Man on the Moon 3 by Kid Cudi is the first album that we've mentioned on our three top 10s that is non-rock oriented or based,
Oriented.
I guess. Yeah, oriented.
Yeah, it's hip hop.
It's hip hop. It's the first one that
Hippity-happity.
is hip hop. Interestingly enough, I think for me, personally, I had not felt like 2020 was a big year for the kind of hip hop or rap that I personally like. There's a few albums, but not many. Just interested to know, are there any others from 2020, hip hop, rap, that area that you liked, or that career goals?
It would mainly be a couple of singles, apart from the album that we did in a test podcast by Busta Rhymes, Extinction Level Event 2, The Wrath of God.
Full title.
But it's got too many tracks on there that don't need to be on there. But the songs I do like on that, I remember liking quite a bit. I actually haven't gone back and listened to them though, which is sad. Sad for everyone involved here.
Yeah.
But I remember the one with Kendrick, which is what I've saved, Look Over Your Shoulder. The I think it was the Young Gods. That was like the transition from that into Look Over Your Shoulder was very nice.
Going to do my grunt again.
It was good. Please, Callum.
And the the one where it was like an 8-bit instrumental, was that Slow Flow with Old Dirty Bastards? Yeah, it was. Just put it on there. Slow Flow is the name of the song, but I remember liking that instrumental.
And then that goes
like
into
8-bit.
Does that go into the one with Q-Tip called
It does.
GoPro or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so a couple of the songs, but yeah, it's too bloated, unfortunately, and I felt like a lot of it was a bit out of its time. Like, I mean, it was. I think we discussed it at the time, but it was recorded like over years, and to me, it felt like it had like passed certain styles by the time he actually released it this year. Apart from that, it'd be singles, so like Ooh La La by Run the Jewels from their album this year, which was RTJ4. That one song that you recommended to me by Freddie Hibbs, featuring Big Sean and Hit Boy, Four Fangs.
Is it Four Fangs or Six? Four? Yeah, it might be Four Fangs.
No, it's Four. I'm looking at it. Four
That's
Fangs.
a very good song.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know if there were any other sort of hip hop ones really, apart from sort of like the ones that you roughly hip hop on the Song Machine Gorillaz album, I suppose.
I know I mentioned this last time, so I'll mention it again. Freddie Gibbs did another album with Madlib, Alfredo. Did you give that a listen at all?
I did not, unfortunately. No.
Give that a go.
No. Okay, maybe I will, maybe I won't. So yes, that was number 6. Wow, flying through this, guys. The next one, if you've not guessed it, is number 5. It's Reanimator by Everything everything. I just
You
wanted
okay?
to make you panic there. Did you feel like there was something wrong with the internet connection, or did that not work?
No, it just sounded like
Um,
you're repeating the word
okay.
over and over again, mate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Callum, was this on your top 10?
It was.
Yeah. Well, in that case, Callum knows. Callum fucking
Same
knows
spot,
how
wasn't it? I
good
think we
this
mentioned this last time. Is it the same spot?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Or maybe
I
not.
thought Yanni had this in number 6 last time.
Yeah, you might be right, actually.
Yanni, have
hang
you
on.
Are
miscounted?
you on number 6?
Yes, it is number 6.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't count. It's because I'm counting downwards and my brain can't do that.
But
No,
yes,
it should be being 3rd.
now we've established it's in number 6. We did have it in the same spot.
It's very good. Violent Sun, one of my favorite songs of the year, and all the singles before it were phenomenal. If we didn't already pick up on the exact fact in Hal's one, there was a point where I remember putting them on in the car and felt like I was transcending into another life.
Always great when you're driving.
It is, yeah. I always do it with my eyes closed though, so. So Arch Enemy, Planets, Inbird Song, which was the first one, and then obviously Violent Sun. All those singles were phenomenal, and although I felt like the album tracks didn't quite live up to that as much, they were still good, and we did go through quite a lot on everything on this initial recording. I think you asked me where it was placed in all of their
Mm-hmm.
discography, and I said it was probably number 1, but that's because I haven't spent enough time with the others as much. And I told you guys that I haven't listened to the first
You
album.
did tell us that.
Still haven't.
That's disappointing, really.
Yeah. So who knows? Eh? But you'll never hear that because it's lost in the ether. So, any other questions that you guys have got so far, or not?
No,
Just still bemused that you've not listened to Man Alive,
you should really listen to my
and that you rate this over Get to Heaven.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's mainly because of Violent Sun. I
Yeah.
really love that song. I
Yeah,
can't explain to you
that's-
how much I love that song.
Yeah.
I think
Well, I agree with you there. It's definitely my favourite song of the year. But I think the album tracks on Get to Heaven are better. But I mean, it's your choice.
It is. That's at the end of the day, Callum, that's what we're recording. It's my top
Yeah.
10. So, yeah.
I'd
Liam?
be interested to know once you have listened to Man Alive what you think of it, because I would say that's the most different of all their other albums to me anyway. I think even from the second album, whichever one that was, Arc, was it? No.
Yep.
They from Arc onwards, they're kind of a similar style, but the first album's very different to me anyway. It sounds very different. So I'd be interested to hear what you think of that.
I'm sure you would be.
Yep.
Moving on to number 5. Is is the album West of Eden by Hummeltude, or HMLTD, or Happy Meal Limited, or some other
Hamilton.
variation of their name.
Hates music. Last time delete.
Yes.
That's the name of their
In
EP.
fact, that is a true statement. Highly anticipated album for myself, and I believe for Cal.
Yeah.
I remember showing you the song to the
To
door.
the
Even
Door.
I'm getting my songs. So many
I
door
did that last
songs.
time.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I did your error, and I laughed at you. Now I'm the
You
fool.
are a fool.
To the door. Yeah, I remember when I first came across that, and I showed you how, and we were taken aback by how fucking good it was.
And Proxy Love.
And Proxy Love, yes. So when I saw that song was going to be on the album, I was very happy.
Yep.
Still upset Proxy Love isn't on there, but you win some, you lose some. Maybe maybe I'll win some eventually. The other songs I like on the album are "The West Is Dead," "The West Is Dead," "Loaded," "To the Door," obviously, "Satan," "Who Had Her and I," "Test Drive," and "Blank Slate." Yes, Liam, I like Mikey's song, but it's
Yay.
not one of my favourites.
I
Why?
heard it.
Should not be on there. Get that binned off.
Oh, right.
And
That's
Blank
sad.
Slate should have been the last song. I've said that every time we've mentioned this album, and I'll say it till the day I goddamn die. All right, guys. So just remember that. Blank Slate, yeah, should have been the end there. And the only thing I don't really like is the fact that it does feel like it has too many songs on it that don't need to be on there. I could do with a couple of them not being there really. But apart from that, the songs which I do like, I really like, and "The West Is Dead" just reminds me of "Please" at Yours, Cal, which
Yeah.
I miss so dearly.
Yeah. Me too.
Take me back, please. Please, take me back. Any questions on that or not?
No.
I'm not happy about the Mikey song slander, but we can move.
Well,
He said he liked it.
Yeah, so it doesn't belong on the album.
no,
I get what you mean.
Did he?
That's not
But
what I
He said
said.
he didn't say that.
I didn't say
He
that.
said
I
why.
said why doesn't
Why
belong on
doesn't-
the album?
He said Mikey's song was he liked it, but it's not one of his favorites.
Oh, why
You know what,
doesn't?
Liam?
Sorry, I must have missed the why. My apologies there. I misunderstood what you were saying.
Don't worry. Just stop talking. You can listen to this podcast once it's released on the Thursday.
Thanks,
So
I'll
don't
listen
worry.
back and then I'll realise.
You'll apologise to yourself then.
Okay, yeah.
Don't worry.
apologies.
So moving on then. Number 4 is "Foolish Love in Spaces" by Blossoms. This was again another one that I was highly anticipating, alongside Cal with this one. I got the
I don't know
vinyl.
if I've ever
which is
mentioned that I'm a fan of Blossoms.
really?
Oh, really? Wow. Didn't know that.
Shocker, innit? Shocker.
Yeah, but have you heard the song "Charlemagne"? Because
I've not
That's
heard
like
that
a
one,
r-
actually, no.
not
I'll
a
check
popular
that
one.
out
Right,
Right.
underground.
Yeah, you should
Underground
do.
chocolate.
right.
It's a really good album. A lot of the songs are very well done. I mean, they always sound well produced. They've gone a lot more synthy as of late, but that happened on like the last album as well. Favorite tracks from this: "If You Think This Is Real Life," "Your Girlfriend," "The Keeper," "Oh No," "I Think I'm in Love," and "Like Gravity." And my favorite, and I'll say it again for you guys that have having to listen to this twice now, "My Swimming Brain" is my favorite off the album. I like everything about it. The little claps in the little pocket that he does, they're very nice. And the harmonies are fantastic on this. They are Trey Hood. So yes, well done, the Blossom,
Mr.
with
Blossom.
a fantastic album.
Mr. Blossom. I'm
Any
a Stockport lad.
questions for any person?
I have a question
here?
for Blossoms, if they're listening.
Yeah,
No,
they
I'm
are
joking.
all the
I'm
time.
ready. Yeah, well done.
Liam, have you listened to this album? I can't remember.
I have listened to this album. Yeah, I thought
Thoughts?
it was alright. Yeah, I didn't love it. I didn't think there's anything really bad about it. It just wasn't my kind of thing. It's nice background
Was your
music.
cup of tea?
It was nice to have in the background,
Nice.
not pay attention to. Once you do pay
Brilliant.
attention, it starts to break down a little bit. But
I think
I will not have this slander.
you should do what Yanni did, or what Yanni does, and watch the documentary behind the album.
Mhm.
yeah,
There's a free one on YouTube, which is shot in Super 8, and it's just very, very aesthetically pleasing. And
Yes.
there's also one on Amazon, which was filmed, I think, when they were writing this, maybe? I can't remember. It was like 2018, I'm sure it was filmed.
Is that the one where they do the kick and Stockport at the end of it? Well, throughout it, or
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that gig in Stockport was when they first
Right.
played Your Girlfriend, so it would have been around.
right? Okay, yeah, yeah.
I'll watch them.
Yeah, watch that documentary. If you're anything like me, it'll just make you like it even more. They lucky enough they do, or they did one for Cool Like You, the album before this as well, didn't they? Did they do one for the first album, or
I don't know, but Cool Like You, they did the voice memos, didn't they? So you saw the progression of the songs.
Yeah, see, I like that a lot. And whenever I watch anything that they release like that, it always makes me want to just pick up a guitar, and a song actually comes out of it every time. So it's very inspiring to watch stuff like that. And yeah, it does help with my appreciation of it. So if you want me to like something, get a video on the go, and then I'll be obsessed. So that was my number 4 pick. Well done, Blossom. Number 3 is Deep Down Happy by Sports Team. This was on everyone's.
Yes.
Everyone's top 10.
What number is this? Sorry, Yanni, what number are you on?
This was number 3.
Number 3. Okay, top 3. Nice.
Highly anticipated again.
Such anticipation this year. Such a
so much,
album.
and also so much letdown. Wow. But yeah, no, this album is fantastic. It's made up of a lot of previously released stuff. However, I don't think that detracts from the value, that's not the word I'm looking for, of the album, because all the singles they've released for it have been fantastic. I'd say my favourite new one would be Long Hot Summer, and I'm going to say that, so you know you can listen or choose not to. It's up to you, really. I've only got this 3 times on vinyl because I'm relatively normal.
Yeah. Still quite a lot.
It is, but they are all different. In terms, I think Liam's got copies of like one copy that's the same.
We don't use
Yeah,
copies.
12, 13, 14,
12
15?
unique. Yeah.
Brilliant. And yeah, all the other ones. Here It Comes, Camel Crew, obviously. I mentioned this last time.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Oh, what are you going to ask, Cal? Go on.
Go on. Cheat yourself.
Go on, Cal.
Well, if you were if someone was holding you at gunpoint.
Oh, not again.
I know, and they spoke at the pace that Liam speaks.
I'd get the gun and shoot myself.
And they asked you, Yanni was like green. If you had to choose between the EP version or the album version of Camel Crew, which one would you pick, and why?
Why? I would pick the album version.
Wow.
However, if you would have asked me that the moment it was released, I would have said, nah, it's a fuck, mate. It's definitely the EP version. But the album version's grown on me. The chorus hits so much harder on the album version of it. The only bit I don't like is the way he says...
Sooner than you think.
Yeah. Yes, that part. I prefer the way he says
we've done
it
this before.
The OG version. But everything else about it is far superior on the album version, in my humble opinion.
That's a controversial opinion.
Is it? Is it actually a controversial opinion?
I'd say so. I feel like most of the guys in the sports team chat bigger would disagree. I personally disagree. I do like the way he goes, and in the morning, in the new version. And it goes low on when he says morning, as opposed to stays the same. I like that.
Wow.
And that's
insight.
It. Over the original.
Okay. Wow.
But yeah, no, I'd say that among sports team fans, I would say that's somewhat controversial. Well, you're outnumbered.
I don't care. Well,
you're entitled to your opinion.
Really
that's
care.
Fine.
I know. Lander, also a great one. Going soft, fantastic. Not really keen on Feels Like Fun. That's the only one that I would skip if it came on, really. It just doesn't do anything for me. Even though, Cal, I know you like that. Well, that's one of your favourites, isn't it?
It is. It's not my favourite. I'm lying. It is. I think it's my favourite out of the new ones.
Well, I mean, that's controversial. If anything.
That is just wrong. Flat out wrong.
So, but yeah, if you're not listening to Sports Team, fucking go back. They've got so many stuff. They've got 2 EPs. They've got multiple singles, some of which are not on this album. So there will be new material for your ears. People in the Sports Team chat, if you're listening to this, hello again. I did say hello the first time we recorded this, but I'll do it again. If you got this far, is it Dom? Is Dom the one who listens?
Dom
to
listens
this?
a lot. Yeah.
Hi Dom, if you've got this far and you don't skip over parts. So, moving on. Number 2, Dos,
Number 2.
is, and this, I feel like I'm wrong saying this, but I know I'm not, and I'll justify it with what I say. But it's the New Abnormal by The Strokes. This is a phenomenal album. I am so glad it exists in the world, and that The Strokes actually released this and didn't just end on their last release, which was like an EP, because this is absolutely fantastic. I think Rick Rubin, who produced it, obviously, he's often associated with bands and artists that have sort of lost their touch, I would say, and he sort of revives them. He did that with Chili Peppers, he did that with Johnny Cash, and countless others. So that's probably why he decided to work with them this time, because from what I've watched on documentaries on their like videos they've uploaded on YouTube, they've sent him demos before and he's always said no. So it must be criteria for him to only pick artists who are
how many sales
not
did you
doing
have
very well. Exactly. But yeah, this is a fantastic album. All the songs are great. It doesn't feel like any song needs to go. They all deserve to be on there. Ode to the Mets is probably my favourite. And then At the Door, depending on what mood I'm in, I think it would be that. No, it's At the Door this time. They've moved. They've gone from the door to the door, and now they're at the door. Ode to the Met is one of Julian's, I'd say one of his best vocal performances. Not in terms of like screaming wise. Juicebox, obviously, that's phenomenal when he gives it someone that, but in terms of his actual delivery and the passion behind it, I'd say the ending of Ode to the Met is fantastic. Worth the build up, in my opinion. And my other song that wasn't released as a single that I'd say is probably a favourite would be Why Are Sundays So Depressing. I really like the post-chorus. I think that's when he sounds the most Lou Reed-ish or esque. Yes, I didn't mention that the first time, but he's... and I know! Because from what I know, The Strokes, and quite a bit because I love them, Julian Casablancas is a massive fan of Lou Reed. And I feel like that's when he's been the most Lou Reed-esque, like I just said. The rest of the tracks are obviously fantastic. Bad Decisions, The Outs Are Talking. It's all good. I'm so happy it's in this world. I get to listen to it. I've got it on picture disc, and the artwork is great. I mean, it's actual art.
It's good.
So you'd think it'd be good, and it is. Any questions? Because I know there was quite a long-winded question last time that I still haven't wrapped my head around fully.
No prizes for guessing who that was from.
I'm guessing that was from me. I can't remember what the question was, Yanni. Do you remember what it was? Can you give me a hint so I can ask it again?
I don't know if it was actually from Callum, you know.
Actually, yeah.
It was...
it was from me.
Yeah, and I think I kind of picked up on what you meant after the fact.
Yeah.
So I was trying to ask. Again, I can't really remember or understand what I was trying to get at. But
Okay.
I'm not the biggest fan of The Strokes. Like I like a lot of the
You
songs,
like a stroke every now and then, though, don't you, boy?
we all do. But I like some singles, particularly the older stuff. Juicy Juice. We love a bit of Juicy Juice. But I think what I was trying to ask is, for someone like me who's not a fan of The Strokes, is this a good way in, or should I, like, for a whole album, or should I go back to? Is this it?
That's a good question. The first time you asked it, it made no sense.
Question.
Oh, I think that's
think
what
it
I
was a
was trying to
different
get at, but
question,
just,
Yeah, I think it ended up being one. But no, that question, I can answer that. Yes, it's a good place to start. Personally,
okay, that's good because I enjoyed it when I listened to it.
I would go back and listen to the first album first, and then the second album second. I know that sounds stupid, but you'll get your turn in a minute, Liam.
There's no like hands up reaction. That's not good.
There was an
There's
ask
a
a
clap
question
or
reaction.
there's a thumbs up.
Raise hands. There you go. There's a raise
Oh.
hands.
Is that-
Anyway, listen to those first two, but that's only because I really, really, really love them, and obviously they are very popular amongst
Yeah.
fans and critics. Well, I think they are now anyway. At the time, I don't think the second one was, but that's your concentrated stroke sound right there. That's me squeezing all the concentrated stroke sounds out. But this one is a good place because what I mentioned previously as well when we did record this the first time is that it has styles of the newer stuff on it. For instance, The Adults Are Talking and Bad Decisions. That does sound a little bit more like the modern Strokes era. I'm counting everything past Room on Fire to the second album as modern Strokes, really, because it already sounds the same after that, really. But yeah, it has styles of those, especially from what's the one? Angles. I'd say like the chorus effects on guitars and everything. It sounds like that. The riffs as well. They sound pretty similar. But yeah, I would. You've already started with it. You've already listened to it. So listen to more. I made you a playlist on Spotify. God damn it! Listen to it.
I don't think I have that anymore. You know.
You deleted it.
Sad.
You son
I
of.
think I might have.
That's sad.
That hurts.
I
my-
don't have the
my
Kanye
heart.
one you made me either.
Well, your loss.
Wow.
Go
Yanni,
on.
hi Yanni,
Yeah.
I have a question. I have a bit of a twofold question.
Why does your finger do that?
Don't know. I don't know. I've got dodgy.
What the hell's wrong?
Don't know. I don't
Like you
know.
got two matching magnet sides that are trying to get away from each other.
My question, somewhat twofold, and both kind of relating to what you were just saying. So you mentioned first two albums, Is This It and Room on Fire. How does this rank up to those two? Should be quick enough.
Number 3.
Number 3. And I'm guessing it's number 3 across all of the albums.
Yes.
All of them included. Okay. My next question, which I think is kind of what Callum was saying last time. As someone who doesn't have the nostalgia, what the hell's that word? Nostalgia.
It's easy for you to say.
Nostalgia factor of the first two albums or any Strokes, such as someone such as Cal. If you were to go back and listen to those first two albums, and also this new album, can you see how musically this could be your favourite album? Do you agree with that statement? Sorry,
Yes,
that's more of a
because
statement. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, because it's very different. But recognisably Strokes. But like I say, that's only because it doesn't. Even though it's miles better than anything they've released recently, it still stays true to like the newer sounds that they've got. Thanks for whatever that is, Liam. A love heart made out of a cable. Brilliant. Yeah, I can see why it would be a favourite for people.
I think for me, listening to previous Stroke stuff, I mean, this is going to be a hot take.
It is. I can't wait for this.
I just think it's all kind of like very, very thin musically. If that makes
The
sense.
older stuff is,
Yeah.
I reckon, definitely that first
But
album.
I think this new one sounds really quite sophisticated, and there's just a lot going on. They're very thick musically. Yeah, it's got a busty ass.
I think that this new
Okay.
album is it's a good kind of
Fat ass.
they've reached the kind of pinnacle of the Strokes. I feel if you were to ignore the fact that the first two albums are probably like they were at a very high point and they've kind of come down. If you look at it as a journey, they've reached the boiling point, if you will.
The top of that mountain.
They've reached the top of that
Top
hill.
of that hill.
Yes.
Do you reckon this? Because I know Julian does other stuff with.
Yes.
He's got his other projects going on.
The voice.
Do you reckon this will be an album that reignites the spark in the Strokes, or do you reckon this will be
Well,
a place
it
where
was
they
many-
leave it?
No,
right.
it was meant to. They were because it was released April, I believe, and there was like plans for tours, festivals. Obviously, they were booked in. They're booked in for Prima, aren't they?
Yes, they are for Primavera.
But there was going to be like those tours. They were like proper going to get back into it, which is really sad. So I'm a bit gutted about that because obviously I've not got to go see them. But fingers crossed, at some point in the near future, I will be able to see them. But yeah, no, this was going to reignite that spark. From what I've listened to, from what I've heard, they did a podcast with Rick Rubin himself, and it sounds like they had a lot of fun, and Rick wants to work with them again. So if that happens, I can presume it will only make for more fantastical music. A lot of it, well, they had lots of talking, and some other ones, they came out of just jams, and they hadn't played together for like years. So they've still got the talent, the ability to be able to do stuff like that, which is good to know that they've not kicked the bucket, so to speak.
That
as a
fire's
band.
still burning, like
Aye.
Sean Kingston.
Yes. Somebody call 911. So, yeah, no, it is. And, yeah, if you've never listened to The Strokes before, I'd say probably listen to this first, because it gives you more of a... This is like the central point, I'd now say, for then spanning out.
Yeah.
This is the middle of the mind map.
Yeah, the mind map is the exact words I was looking for.
Yeah,
this is the centre of the mind map, because you can see the link to what Julian's doing on his own. You can see like the link to the older Stroke stuff, and obviously if you work your way back, you'll appreciate it. But even like the older fans, I know that like people like me who have like loved the first two albums, this is fantastic and we love it. I don't think I've seen a bad review of this album. Everyone seems to unanimously love it.
Cool.
Love
So that
it,
was your number
love
2,
it,
Yanni, is that right?
Yes, that was number 2. Do you want me to move on to number 1?
Oh, please do. Oh, go on then. Oh,
The
we have to.
grand finale. So, it will be The Slow Rush by Tame Impala. Again, and I've said it multiple times, highly anticipated album. Anytime I know Kevin Parker is going to be releasing something, I'm full of excitement.
All over it like a rash.
Yes. Giddy, they might say. Yeah, and it did not disappoint. I've listened to this non-stop. The reason why this is number 1 as compared to the Strokes album is I've just found myself over the year listening to this one more. So that must be a sign. But yeah, it's fantastic. I think I did mention, I know I have, that this might be my second favourite album he's done, behind obviously Lonerism, because it would be a sin if that wasn't anything but number 1. I think, I've definitely made my mind up from the last time I recorded this. Currents is as an album, I'd say is probably better to like altogether, but I just prefer this album anyway. I know it sounds daft, but the same applies to me for To Pimp a Butterfly and Kid Mad City. To Pimp a Butterfly is a better thought out album, but I prefer Good Kid. I know that's going off topic, but it's sort of not, if that makes
Just
sense.
means more to you.
I prefer, yeah, exactly. This album speaks more to me, but I can appreciate that Currents is probably a better album.
Collective word.
Collective, yes. Thank you, Cal. For when words defeat me, you'll be there. Favourite songs on here: Instant Destiny, Borderline, although I do prefer the original, but you know, hey ho. Breathe Deeper, Tomorrow's Dust, On Track is my favourite. Lost in Yesterday, Is It True, It Might Be Time, who knows, and One More Hour. But yeah, I On Track, I mentioned this last time. Again, stop me, I keep on repeating myself. There was a live recording of this with all the original crew that he put on YouTube not so long ago, come to the end of last year, and the appreciation for that track then skyrocketed, because it's just fantastic. I love this album. I love the songs that I like on this album. I fucking love. Could do without a couple. Glimmer, I think it's mainly just like drums just beating. It's a bit like a pointless track for me. It seems like a segue, but there's one of them, so it's not like like skits you hit on albums, but there's only one of them. Essentially, it's a bit weird. Don't know. I didn't really like that. It didn't gel with me as much. One More Year I like, but I prefer One More Hour.
Wow. One More Year is probably one of my favourites off that album.
Well, yeah, a lot of people prefer One More Year, from what I understand.
Although whenever I listen to it, it always reminds me of Simply Red. I really don't know why. You know the song
Okay.
"I Love the Thought of Coming Home to You." You know
Yes, tune. Big
I
tune.
don't know why, but every time I listen to it, I can just see Mick Hucknall.
What a treat.
Okay. All right. Well, that's odd. Are you okay? And Posthumous Forgiveness. I didn't really like it when it was first released as a single. It works well in the context of the album, but I don't ever want to leave it on whenever it comes to it.
Bit long.
It is a bit long, even though it's not as long as Breathe Deeper. I don't know. Breathe Deeper has more of a dance to it, so it's a bit easier to gel with. So yeah, that is my number one. Goes to Tame Impala. Well done, Kevin.
Thank you.
You've been a very good boy this year. Keep it up. Can't wait for the album that you do in the next 4 years' time. I think I might have commented on it, but this album was all about the passing of time and stuff, and he does a very good job, I believe, of getting that point across. Obviously, the track titles sort of hint at that anyway. Yeah, I didn't want to say that one. Hint at that, and yeah, but he does a very good job at that, and I think it was one of those Kendrick. Again, I'm linking it to Kendrick Lamar for some reason. One of those where you could listen to it backwards and it still makes sense. It's just the reverse. So the point still stands. It's just backwards, obviously. But yeah. Any questions on that, guys?
Thank you for sharing, Yanni. That was your number one album of the year, Tame Impala.
I'm never sharing again. I feel like you're using that.
Yeah, no, you've shared
as sarcasm.
too much. I wanted to ask, so for me, Tame Impala, as there's been a very clear progression of kind of style, and the way he has made music, I guess, mostly, Kevin Parker. And it's quite a clear progression, and quite natural progression from Inner Speaker to this album. It's interesting to me that this is your second favourite behind Lonerism, which is actually obviously the second album, and so the beginning of that kind of progression.
Sorry to interrupt, but I've just had enough of you.
I didn't actually have a question. I realised I didn't have a question, so say what you want, I guess.
Well, I see Tame Impala as two separate eras. There's before Currents and there's after Currents, or after Lonerism or before Lonerism, you know what I mean. Everything up to Lonerism, which was only the 2 albums and an EP, is all very of a psychedelic kind of vibe, and then he's gone into very much heavy sort of pop, with still those psychedelic kind of vibes to them. Like obviously, what's the first one he released from Currents?
Let It Happen.
That's the one. That goes through like a whole thing of its own. That's like a really long song, and yeah, that's a whole experience on its own. But it's more of there's more pop involved, which he said that he wanted to go down that route from the start, but he just wasn't confident enough to do it at the time until after Lonerism. So I'd say it's my second favourite, but I don't think that's and that's because I see them as two different eras, completely different.
You could
sides of a coin.
Could you see this as two favourite bands by two different artists, almost?
I'll just say yeah.
I don't know what that meant. It made sense in my head.
If you put someone in a room and they didn't know anything about Tame Impala and you played them Lonerism and The Slow Rush, there is no way in hell anyone would know it's the same band.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well,
yeah, but
yeah,
I think his voice has improved.
No, yeah, live it has.
But I guess I know that's what I was kind of saying. They could be two separate bands essentially.
Yeah.
and like you say, 2 separate eras of the
Yeah.
same band. I guess, was that the point where he's always recorded on his own, hasn't he? He's never recorded with a band.
Yeah, he
Okay.
has. Yeah, it's always been by himself. Well, for the main albums, from what I know anyway. But yeah, they're very different eras, and you would not tell you would know it was the same band if you put someone in the room, put Lone Raising on, and then even current, like the next album, you would not tell that was the same guy doing it, especially if you put like Love/Paranoia on after like fucking Elephant, for example. You'd be like, okay, completely different styles. What are you doing?
Mhm.
Why have you put
Yeah.
these on next to each other? But they're both good. He's phenomenal at what he does. Like everything sounds fantastic. He mixed, I think from Currents as well. He mixed it himself as well. So apart from like mastering the albums, he's doing everything himself, which is something that I admire a lot in artists when they do all of that. Same with like Mac DeMarco, the Mac Daddy. He's mixed the last album, even though that wasn't very good. He's doing it all himself now. And I tend to have more of appreciation for people that do that, artists that do that. And
Well-
I don't know whether that resonates with me more because of it. But yeah, I'm going to quickly fly through my top 10.
Joke there.
Oh no.
Oh, what was it? What was it going to be? Because it'll be
Don't
funny
matter,
now
it's
after the
Oh
fact.
no, we need to know though,
Go on.
Callum. Go on.
Well, I was just gonna go. Well, strictly speaking, we've gone off track. So can you run through your top 10 again?
Brilliant.
Useless.
Fantastic.
Useless.
So, starting from number 10, got Night Network by the Cribs. Number 9, Heaven to a Tortured Mind by Eve Tumor. Number 8, Zero's Declan McKenna. 7 is Man on the Moon 3 by Kid Cudi. 6, Reanimator by Everything Everything. 5, West of Eden by HMLTD. 4, Foolish Love in Spaces by Blossoms. 3, Deep Down Happy by Sports Team. 2, The New Abnormal by The Strokes. And then number 1, Slow Rush by Tame Impala.
Thank you, Yanni.
Well done,
Thank
everyone
you very
involved
much.
on who's included on that list. You've all made fantastic albums.
Now, I've got a question for you, Yanni.
Oh,
Based on, well, I remember last time you said you didn't know albums that were already announced for 2021. But are there any albums that have been released in the early years of 2021 that you are extremely happy with listening to? And are there any other artists or rappers, for example, that you hope return with a new album throughout this year? Enlighten me.
Shame, Drunk Tank Pink.
I was going to
Good,
say,
innit?
since last time we did this album's been released,
Yes.
hasn't it? So
Yeah.
It's very good. I don't want to go into it too much because we will be talking about it on our regularly scheduled podcast.
Monday.
Coming Monday, this Monday, in fact, the Monday after you're hearing this. Yeah, it's a fantastic album. Listen to that podcast because we'll all have lots of thoughts on that. Even though it is, I'll go on to the rap thing separately, so I knew exactly what you were doing with that. You sneaky devil, you sneaky boy. Even though the first 2 tracks of the album are not amazing, I'm still kind of excited to see what Kings of Leon's album is going to be like. I hope it's all right, as long as it's not bad. I'm
Maybe
I'm
they
okay
should
with
give
that.
Rick Rubin a call.
they should.
Yeah, they definitely should. They'd have to stop making an album though for like a while, and then that's when Rick Rubin's like, yeah, I'll get involved. Apart from that though, like you may have already guessed, Cal, I hope Kendrick releases something this year. It's been about the right amount of time that he usually leaves between album releases. So I'd really want King Kenny, K-Dot, to release something that would make my 2021 if he did.
Was
Well, there's
and
rumours
al-
he pushed back. Go on, Liam.
I was just going to say, was Dammer's last album?
Yeah.
There's rumours that he pushed back because of the pandemic. I watched the Let's Argue Fantano's new vid the other day.
All right. Okay.
So he said he can't imagine that he'll release while we're still in a pandemic, and it does make sense. Sorry to dampen your
No.
spirits, but might
No.
not happen for a while.
Might not, but come on, Kendrick. I know you listen to this podcast. Just release the fucking album.
We'll give you a hand if you need one, mate. Listen, just get in touch.
Liam knows all about trap beats, so if that's
I
what you
really
want,
do.
that's cool. I was going to say, oh yeah, and obviously if Arctic Monkeys happen to release anything, which they
Things are
are
happening.
trying to record, I would be very happy with that. But if they're recording this year, if they can even get to recording, I doubt it'll be released this year as well, which is a bit of a shame. But you know, who cares? We waited so long for the last one. There's no other artists really that. Did I mention anyone else last time?
Honestly, Yanni, I've blocked
No idea.
all conversations we've had in the past week out of my mind.
Yeah, same. I forget instantly. So the number
Really.
10 album of the year is.
I have a
Liam's got a question. I know
hi,
he
Yanni,
has.
I have a question, please. Can I please present a question?
can present
big
it.
fan. I just wanted to say, has there been any albums this year that you have been particularly fond of, which if they that weren't released this year? So have you become a fan of something which you'd never heard of before 2020, but was from before 2020, that you wish could have been included in this top 10?
Hell yes, Liam.
Please tell.
That would be
Pray tell.
Third Eye Blind's album. Third Eye Blind. This is my album of the year. To be honest with you, it just is my album of the year, but I can't have it because it was released in 1997. So with this one, most played, I mentioned it and I'll do it again because it was almost funny. My favourite song was Losing the Whole Year, which is how everyone's felt this year, which was quite convenient that you happened to recommend it, and then I've ended up listening to it and fell in love with that song. Narcolepsy, Semi-Chunk Life, Graduate, and The Backgrounds, they've been on, and God of Wine, actually I really like that one. They've been on non-stop. This album has just been the album I've gone back to time and time again. So yeah, but obviously none of their other stuff, it's all shit after that.
Thank you, Yanni. I'm glad you enjoyed that album. I think it's very good as well.
Yeah.
A follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
I don't think I had an answer last time, but I hope you've had time to ponder on it. Have there been any other artists that you've discovered in 2020 that you weren't familiar with previously that haven't necessarily released anything in 2020? As an example, I mentioned Twin Peaks on mine. Have you got anything similar to that?
Have I got anything similar to that, Liam? That's a very, very good question. No. However, I do want to say that on our album of the year collective one, it might be worth mentioning a couple of singles / EPs that have been released, because there's been a number of singles which I've liked, that I think a lot of them, I think we all kind of like, to be honest. Actually, I'm looking at two that we definitely do, that we haven't obviously been able to mention on the album of the years. But yeah, we should definitely mention those. And I think that about wraps it up.
I have one more question.
Would you say?
I have one more question, and this
He
it's a curveball.
does?
This one's a curveball. This is a first-time question. Would have been good for Callum's, but hey ho. What's the?
I've just seen your name on this
yeah.
chat, by the way.
Please get in touch, Kenny. We will help boost your ratings. Of all the albums we've reviewed specifically for Fools on Hill podcast in 2020 from October, whenever it was we started, what's been your favourite album? I'm not sure if there was one on your top 10 potentially. I don't think there was though. If you can think just off the top of your head, one that you really enjoyed from what we've reviewed.
Not like album spotlight ones, no.
Not spotlights, but maybe your hot off the press or one of our hot off the presses.
Well, I did Kid Cudi, didn't I? That I mentioned.
Oh, you did do
and
Kid Cudi, sorry, yeah.
the Cribs one, but
Thrillers.
one for the podcast ones. Not what? One for the this podcast one, should I say? That Maya or Maya by John Frusciante.
Oh, Frusciante's album, yeah.
Yeah, I remember liking that when we were testing the waters with this podcast. Yeah, that was good, and I listened to it again a little bit recently, and still good.
Cool.
Apart from that, though, no.
Good. Thank you.
So,
More of an answer than I expected.
yeah, so thanks everyone for listening. If you've got this far, then it's a testament to how good I am as a podcast host.
This is like half an hour longer than the original version.
I don't know how I've managed that. But yeah, follow us everywhere that you can.
Not on the streets.
Facebook
Not on the streets.
And Instagram is at Falls on a Hill Podcast. On Twitter, it's at Falls on a Hill Pod. We are very active on these things now. And we're What were you gonna say?
We're going to do YouTube stuff, aren't we?
We are going to do YouTube stuff, so look out for that. We'll probably explain a bit more of that on the actual podcast coming out on Monday. This Monday that you're listening. We'll explain more about what ideas we've got, but we're branching out. Should be very good. You'll get to see our wonderful faces a bit more.
Yeah, we tried recording the podcast and it was a fucking nightmare, so we're resorting to this.
Yes.
Yeah, but it means more content for the people who want the content.
It's free.
It's for free. There is playlists of all the previous stuff we've done. Are we doing album of the year playlists? Is that a thing?
If
or
Liam
not?
can be bothered to get
My
his hand
finger
out his
out.
pants and
Yeah, I'm
fucking
actually behind
put
on
it
this
in.
week's weekly one. I haven't done it
Should we-
yet. But maybe.
You still not done it?
No, I haven't. I'll do it. I'll do it tonight, maybe. No, but yeah, maybe we will. Maybe we can all put together. Do it.
Like favourite tracks. Or
Do a
maybe
top
off
10
our
favourite
top
tracks,
albums.
and we'll do a playlist of 10
Okay.
songs or more if you want. But you two can make
Nah,
those
just
yourselves,
10.
and I'll put them on.
And yes, follow us on YouTube. It's Falls on a Hill. We're like number one because obviously we've got the most subscribers. Like, subscribe, ding that bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
And listen to all the other podcasts because they're all good. There's always a funny moment throughout. Even if you do have to suffer through half an hour of Liam's talking just to get to it, it's worth it in the end when you think about it. Listen next week for the collective album of the year, which will be a nightmare. I can guarantee that already, because we won't agree with each other. We very rarely do. So you'll enjoy that. Anyone else got anything to add?
Callum, anything to add?
Zero to add.
Well, Yanni, I'd like to thank you very much for taking us through your favourite albums of 2020. Callum,
You're welcome.
I'm sure you are thankful as well.
I'm so
And
delighted.
for everyone listening,
So delighted.
I'm sure they're very thankful as well, Yanni. So give yourself a little pat on the back, and run yourself a nice bath.
Get the clap emoji going.
Claps
I'm not
emojis
getting
are
the clap
going.
again.
The clap emojis are going everywhere. And on that note, don't rush me. Just come in. You can't take over. That's not fair. Ruined it.
I can. It's my podcast.
Thanks for listening. Listen to all the rest. Listen to all the futures ones. And God bless you and your children. If you don't believe in God, bless up.
Then they're not blessed.
Stay safe.
Bye
Yes.
bye.
Bye everyone. Much love.
I am eagerly awaiting this.
So excited. I can't wait to find out what's your number one. I haven't got a clue. Has it changed actually? Have you thought about it? Or are you just going to do the same 10?
No, actually, I don't think of anything.